welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be taking you through some of my recent reads and sharing my thoughts on them with you guys. I'm super excited because the last few books that I've read have been really good. Most of them have been 5-star ratings, so I'm super pumped to share them with you guys. But before we get into it, just a reminder that my birthday live Q&A is coming up. I switched the date from Sunday, August 16th to Tuesday, August 18th because Tuesday is my regular upload day anyways. If you didn't know, I upload Tuesdays and Fridays. So the live for my birthday live Q&A will be on August 18th. And it's probably going to be in the afternoon. I will do a post in the YouTube community section about the time and all that details and stuff like that, and I will also post it on my Twitter. But the point of this is for you guys to be able to pretty much ask me anything, so you can start leaving your questions for me in the comment sections down below. You can leave questions for me on my Twitter or message me on Instagram, and I will start compiling my list, so that way we can start the Q&A off with a bang. Obviously you can ask me questions during the Q&A as well, but it'd be great if I could also have a list to just kind of start off with too. So definitely be thinking of questions you want to ask me. There's hair flying around, I don't know why. But yeah, be thinking of questions you want to ask me, and I will start putting a list together. Some of you have already started asking me questions, which is great, so keep them coming. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay guys, so before we get into it, I'm going to do the same disclaimer that I do in pretty much every single one of my videos, and that is if you hear my Great Dane whining or crying upstairs, she's not hurt, dying, or anything, but she's absolutely fine. She's just dramatically here on this channel. We deal with it. I feel like at some point I'm probably going to add Taz to that disclaimer as well, because he also gets pretty loud when he can't see me or my boyfriend, and it's really cute, but I feel like he's just taking after Sarabi. But that's besides the point. I am so excited for the group of books that I have to share with you guys today. I had a lot of 5-star books the past month or so, and it's just been amazing, so I'm really pumped for it. The first book that I have to share with you is Thug or The Hate You Give by Elle.K. And I ended up giving this one 5 stars. I loved this book, and I honestly didn't think that I was gonna like it nearly as much as I did, and I'm so excited to finally be able to watch the movie, because I didn't want to watch the movie until I read the book. So now I can finally do that. Please excuse the sticky notes here. Like, I didn't have the ones that I wanted at the time. I only had like these big square chunky ones, and I hate them, and I had to swap them out, so just excuse this ugliness here. Anyways. So this book follows if you don't already know, this book follows our main character Star, who has become accustomed to kind of leading 2 separate lives. Her first life is where she lives and grew up, and that's in the town that's, how do I explain it? It's like a rougher side of the neighborhood and like a low income side. That's where she lives, and she's currently growing up. And then there's her second life, which takes place at a very rich white preppy school in the suburban side of town. So she's gotten really good at keeping those 2 lives separate. She likes having them separate, the 2 shall never meet type of thing, and she's comfortable with it like that. She's comfortable having kind of like, I don't want to say like a split personality, but just very 2 separate lives. She likes it that way. But everything kind of goes awry when she goes to a party in her own neighborhood, and she gets a ride home with her friend, but they're pulled over by a police officer for it seems like, I can't remember what the reason was. It was either the music being too loud or a headlight being out, something like that. And her friend Khalil is shot by the police officer, who mistook his hairbrush for a gun. And at the time, nobody knows who was driving with Khalil. Star's identity is kept a secret for the longest while, and she kind of has to decide whether or not she's going to speak up against this injustice or stay quiet and kind of stay in her corner and keep her lives separate and comfortable. And I really liked this book because, one, it didn't just center around police brutality. There were so many other little subplots going on in the book, and I think Elle.K. did an amazing job of creating all these different characters and weaving them together to make a really well-rounded story. And it kind of just shows that, like, Black people have lives outside of police brutality, but at the same time, she stressed the importance and the impact that police brutality does have on us. So I really appreciated kind of having the best of both worlds within one book, and now I understand why it was so long. For like, I've had this book for a couple years now, and just looking at it, I was like, I don't get why this book is so chunky. And then going into it, I was like, yes, I understand. And honestly, reading it, I flew through this book. It was absolutely amazing. I highly recommend it, and I'm so pumped to watch the movie. I believe it's Amandla that plays Star in the movie, and she's such an amazing actress, so I have high hopes for the movie as well. This book was great. If you haven't read it, I highly suggest you put it on your TBR. It was really good and definitely well worth the read. Angie Thomas has another book out. It's called called On the Come Up, which I also have that I'm probably going to get to hopefully more than likely in November. And then she also has another one coming out in early 2021, but I don't remember the name of that one. But regardless, I'm going to pick it up anyways. The writing for this book was also absolutely phenomenal. I love her writing style. It was beautiful. And I've heard really good things about the audiobook, so if you are intimidated about reading it because it's a little bit chunky, the audiobook I've also heard is done really, really well. So that's the first one. The second book that I have is Black Girl Unlimited, written by Elle.K. Brown. This is a magical realism, it's a magical realism and a memoir as well, which was, I didn't know that until I got to the end of it, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. This book I also gave 5 stars. It follows our main character, Elle.K, and we get to follow her from her childhood up to young adulthood, when she's like, I think just going into university/college. And it's pretty much just kind of going through her life with a little bit of a magical realism thrown into there. And I guess the best way that I can explain it, it highlights not only the Black experience, but the experience of individuals who live in a lower income neighborhood and the struggles that they often have to face. There's trigger warnings for drug use, sexual abuse, and physical abuse, so just be wary of that. But it was not even remotely close to what I was expecting. Like, the synopsis for this book just had me thinking one thing and it was something completely different. Like, it was so much more impactful than what the synopsis led on. I think the synopsis was something like similar to The Hate U Give, in the sense where Elle.K kind of leaves 2 different lives, where the one life is where she grows up and currently lives, which is in like the rougher neighborhood, and then she goes to school in a more developed, richer neighborhood, and I think like all the magic happens like on the other side of the neighborhood or something like that. Like, the synopsis was just not, it didn't do the story justice. So if you've read the synopsis for this book and didn't feel intrigued or motivated enough to pick it up, I would suggest you do it anyways, because honestly the synopsis almost had me turning it away. But I'm really, really glad that I gave it a try. It was absolutely phenomenal. There were so many things in this book that I could relate to, and it was a fun but also very impactful and tragic read in some points. So I don't want to give too much of it away. I think it's one that you should go into knowing very little about and just kind of go for the experience yourself. It's really, really beautifully done. And I haven't read, this is the first book I've read by Elle.K. Brown. I don't know if she has any other ones out, but if she does, I will definitely look into it because her writing is absolutely gorgeous. I loved so it has time jumps in it, which is really, really cool. So, and they're done really well as well. And like, even the writing, let me see if I can find a page where, okay, I don't know if you can see it, but so right there where there's kind of like a drop, that's a time jump, so you can physically see where the time jumps are in the book, and I love that. So I highly recommend this book. Another 5-star read. It was great. And to honestly, reading The Hate U Give and then Black Girl Unlimited like back to back was so cool. I loved that. So, and I also did a little blurb about it on my Instagram if you're interested in seeing it, so I will leave my Instagram link down below as well. The next book that I have is Pippi Longstocking. This is a children's classic that I grew up watching on TV, and I remember just absolutely loving it. My dad used to call me Pippi Longstocking growing up because I would wear like really, really long striped socks just like these ones, and it was just, I don't know, it was just a really fun, nostalgic read. You obviously follow our main character, Pippi Longstocking, who is this incredibly headstrong and very annoying character at sometimes, but in the best possible way. Like, she's so loving and caring, and she genuinely just wants to be able to fit into this world without having to conform to it, and she really wants to keep her individuality. And I believe she's only 9 years old in it, and it's really, really sweet. If you're looking for like a light read, and if you're kind of in a reading slump, I would recommend this book. It's so cute, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time reading it. I did give it 3 stars, not because it was bad in any way, shape, or form, but I really read it for nostalgic purposes, and it did what I wanted it to do. So it was a solid 3-star read, and I definitely recommend it. It's very, very cute. The next book that I've recently read is Ghost Boys by Jewel Parker Rhodes. I've actually done a complete spoiler-free book review for this on my channel, so I will link that in the description box down below, so I'm not going to go too much into it now because I have that entire review. But this book is 5 stars. I am blown away that this is a middle grade book. Never in my life would I have picked this up thinking it's a middle grade book. The only thing that kind of gave it away was the writing style, but the content, the impactfulness, and the education that you get from this book does not scream middle grade to me at all. Jewel Parker Rhodes did an amazing job with this book. I would highly recommend it. If you want to know more about it, like I said, I will link my book review for it down below, and you guys can give that a watch. And yeah, definitely pick this one up if you have the chance to. The next 2 books that I read, one I don't own, I read the audiobook for it, and the second one I do own, but I can't find my physical copy for it for some reason, and that is Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Shauna McGuire. It is the second book in the Wayward Children series, and I absolutely loved it. It was everything I wanted it to be and so much more. I thought I was gonna hiccup there. Shauna McGuire has this insane ability to create the most vivid, dark worlds that I think I've ever read about, and it's just so intricately done. Like, you feel like you're in those worlds with the characters. Again, I can't really give a lot away about it because it is a sequel. I would highly suggest picking up the first one, which is Every Heart a Doorway, and it follows characters from the first book, and it's great because it was the characters that I really wanted more of a backstory on. It's just perfect. It was so good. Again, I did a little blurb about it on my Instagram, so I will leave that link down below. But if you're looking for, again, something to get you out of a reading slump, because the books are really short, I would highly recommend the Wayward Children series. I've only read the first 2. I don't know if I'm going to read the last 2 because the first 2 were the ones that I really wanted to read. The last 2 are about characters that didn't really interest me too much, but I like Shauna McGuire's writing so much I might just read them anyways. And like I said, they're super short. Like, you could probably get them done within like 2 to 3 hours, depending on how fast you read. But regardless, they're so good. I might actually save the last 2 for October because they are pretty creepy. I definitely wasn't expecting the series to be as dark as it is, but well worth the read. I love Down Among the Sticks and Bones. It's like the prime example of what happens when you try and mold your children into something that they don't want to be. It's like the prime example of the consequence of doing that. So I would highly recommend giving that book a read. It's so good. Again, another 5-star book. Amazing. Okay, so the last book that I read is My Sister the Serial Killer, and the author is Okoyan Brightwith. I hope I said her name correctly. If I said that wrong, I'm really sorry. And it is an adult fiction. How do I even explain this book? It's, again, really short. I think the audiobook was like 4 hours, but it was like the most roller coaster waving all around 4 hours I think I've ever listened to. So you follow 2 sisters, Iola and Cordy. Cordy is the older sister, Iola is obviously the younger sister, and Iola has a thing for murdering her boyfriends. It appears that she murders them when they do something to displease her. She just gets tired of them. And Cordy, being her big sister, helps her cover up the murder and quite literally clean up the mess. So, and the 2 of them go about doing this. No one knows what they're doing, and you're really more so following Cordy and her having to deal with her what seems like insane younger sister. And all of it is going relatively normally until Iola falls for a guy that Cordy likes, and Cordy is scared that the guy that she likes will meet the same fate as all of Iola's other boyfriends. So she's kind of stuck between whether or not she will try and save the guy that she likes from her sister or stick with her sister. And it's, I think the underlining message here is, how far will you go to like stand by your family? And it's just, I was shook. Like, honestly, I was listening to this book and I was like, no way, like absolutely no way. If you are interested in reading this book, I highly recommend the audiobook. It was phenomenal. It was so good. I absolutely loved it. Again, trigger warnings for sexual and physical abuse in the book, but like just blew my mind with how amazing a book could be for being such a short book. And I definitely want to pick up a physical copy of it because it was literally just that good. So I highly recommend. Definitely listen to the audiobook version for it. Again, 5-star read. And I mean, ask yourself, how far would you be willing to go to defend your family? It's pretty interesting question to see how far people would take it. But yeah, those were all the books that I've read most recently, and yeah, I love them. I totally forgot to share with you guys my current read right now, and that is The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein by Kristen White. I've been meaning to get to this book for the longest while, and I am a little over halfway through it. I'm gonna save my thoughts this because I'm probably gonna do an Instagram review for it, so make sure you're following me on Instagram if you want to hear my thoughts on this book. Slight spoiler, I'm liking it a lot. So yeah, stay tuned on my Instagram if you want to see some thoughts for this one. But that sums up the entire video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know down below any questions you want me to answer for my birthday live Q&A. Like I said, I will make a community post about that for the date and the time, so everybody is up to date and can put that in your calendar because it's going to be super fun, and I'm very excited about it. So make sure you're thinking of questions. You can put them in the comments, you can send them to me on Twitter, or you can message me on Instagram with your questions. So